guys, it's me again, and sorry if a previous video Quachi wasn't there in the video. He had to do some errands. But he's here now. Say hi. You probably shouldn't have said that on camera, Quachi. Anyway, it feels like I really haven't talked about video that's like Halloween specific. And that and since Halloween is my favorite time of the year and I love October, I figure I should do at least one right now and like a couple more later, obviously, but let's start talking about the 1974 film Black Christmas. Now, this name might seem familiar for a couple people because Blumhouse is having a go at their remake coming out this December of this year. And while that film will certainly have its concerns, the 1974 film has become honestly a little bit of an underrated classic. So the general premise of the film is that a group of college girls in a sorority living in this one house, they're getting picked out one by one by a mysterious killer that turns out is actually in their house making phone calls to them from within their house. If that sounds a little familiar to you, it's because Scream took the whole phone thing in its own direction in the 90s, a couple decades later. And honestly, the reason why this film probably isn't get talked about that much is because, while outside the horror community, people usually think either the slasher genre started with John Carpenter's Halloween film, which came out 4 years later, or they think the only two films that came out before the 80s that were slasher films were Halloween and Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Of course, there was another movie that came out in the same year as Psycho that's probably a little bit more just as relevant to the slasher subgenre, but that's a discussion for another video. So Black Christmas has a couple things about it that make it sort of a bit of a timeless classic. First of all, the identity of the killer is never really revealed. I mean, due to some of the phone calls he makes to the girls, it does seem like his name is Billy, and in the film they make it seem like the killer is going to be this one person until he dies at the end. But the killer's identity is never really revealed, which makes it a little more suspenseful, mysterious, and kind of scary because having an unknown killer sort of taps into the general abstract concept of fear of the unknown. And the fact that he is calling within the house of the people that live in there, that feel safe in there, does have that sort of fear that nowhere they go will be secure and safe for them. And one thing that makes this a little bit interesting because while horror films sort of have justifiably have these stereotypes of like the final girl is always a virgin or that if you smoke or drink or do sex, you're going to die. And while that is still kind of true in this film, really all the female characters do some of that activity. I mean, the main girl is pregnant throughout the entire film and debates about and thinks about getting an abortion. So I guess the reason why the legacy of Black Christmas is important is because it has characters partaking in activities you don't really see the main horror protagonist take part in. It has the killer whose identity is never revealed and is never really focused on that much, creating more suspense. And of course, the whole concept of calling and taunting your victims while you're in the same house as them makes it that more terrifying and suspenseful. Now, of course, there is a scene in the film that some people would say is probably sexist, and it surprisingly shows up in the Blumhouse Remakes trailer about how a police officer that the girls talk to says that like 9 times out of 10 the missing girl is just basically with her boyfriend somewhere. Now, I don't know where they're going to take that in the remake, but in the original, that cop does get kind of chewed out a little bit. I mean, they make him seem like a little bit more of like a kind of like a stupid, more incompetent kind of cop within this department. So it's really not a sexist thing in that particular film. So these are really just a few thoughts I wanted to air out about Black Christmas. It's a film that is a little bit of a slow burn, kind of, and And if you're really one of those people that wants to like know more about the killer, this really isn't that kind of a film, but it's a film that has become highly influential in the slasher subgenre with Halloween, Scream, and a bunch of other films. It's one that's definitely worth checking out. And while I do have my personal concerns about the Blumhouse remake, I do wish them the best of luck. That's all I really have to say for right now. Like, comment, subscribe, share. I'll see you guys next time.